Hi, we're the Swensons, the family behind Let's Adventure Some More.
And this year we decided to ditch our San Francisco Bay Area lifestyle for a trip around the world.
This is week 17, and we're on the South Island of New Zealand. No, that little clip was from just outside of Queenstown, a tourist mecca on the South Island. Unfortunately, that was not us jumping off of the bridge. That would have been really fun, but we vetoed that.
We just watched people, and it was a quick lesson in what bungee jumping is for the kids. But it's definitely like an extreme sportsy. We saw a lot of people doing all sorts of different things in that area. A lot of excursions for the young people.
For the young and the healthy.
And then non-family types.
Mostly. To summarize, this week, we basically drove and played in water. One of the highlights of this week for me was visiting the Monteith's Brewery. It was, just a standard brewery, and they had brews and they had tasty stuff. They gave us a tour and free drinks at the end, so it was awesome.
We pretty much just went for the end part, but it was great.
I enjoyed it.
Yeah. It was a small tour, small facility, but really good beer, so we thoroughly enjoyed our time. We also went to see Franz Josef Glacier, which was amazing. You could see it while you were driving into the parking lot, and it said it was an hour and a half round trip. It took us about 3 hours.
Thereabouts.
And it was windy, and it was cold, and
it rained on us.
It rained on us, and we were not prepared. And Theo did phenomenal. He was in shorts and a t-shirt the entire time, and
didn't fuss at all. He was a stud.
The best attitude. So it was a good example for the rest of his siblings. They were kept warm with the one umbrella, and
a poncho.
Yes.
Yeah, it was beautiful weather driving up, so we didn't really expect it to change, but we probably should have looked at the weather report because change it did.
But it was still beautiful, and we loved being able to get out and hike after doing some of that driving and to just be out in nature. So it was perfect. So during our time on the North Island, we weren't really in water very much, and it had been several days since we bathed at all. So and it's hot, so I just couldn't take it anymore. So we found a lake. We had used the restroom, and the kids were playing in the water. And I said, you know what? I'm going to shower. I'm going to bathe in this lake because I am gross and I need to wash my hair, and I don't care who sees it. So I got my swimsuit and I did just that. And then everyone else took a bath too because they just decided to.
I guess on this particular day, I was more modest than the rest of them because just at the same campsite, I went ahead and went around the corner and went under the bridge where one of the tributary streams goes into the lake, and I went ahead and bathed there. It was, a little more secluded. I took Vesper over there. She rinsed off. It was nice, but
yeah, I didn't care. I was just so gross. I just needed to take a bath.
But
it had been 5 days, so it wasn't a full week, but it was 5 days, and I that was enough for me. 5 days. Couldn't go any longer.
I could have gone a couple more days. Another one of the highlights from this week was a place called Stuart Lansborough's Puzzling World, just near Wanaka on the South Island. And if you enjoy the kind of little puzzlers,
Magic Eye, where you like cross-eyed your eyes and then you'd see something come out of the picture.
if you like trying to
Illusions.
fit squares and rectangles and awkward shapes into bigger squares and rectangles and awkward shapes, that's the kind of place for you.
It was like my 5th grade self's best dream ever. Like if I could have gone there when I was in 5th grade, it would have been like
Yeah,
unforgettable.
Optical illusions, the kind of a room that is tilted and everything looks like it's going uphill instead of going downhill. And then to top it off, throughout the whole set is built around a gigantic maze. It's got 4 corners that you go and try to locate, and then we kind of cheated. We didn't really get our way out.
We got to every corner, but then we couldn't get out of the maze. So they have little emergency exits for when you're tired and hot.
Or lazy.
Or angry. So
Or hangry, in our case.
So we almost got it, but we didn't quite.
It was lunchtime, man. We had to get going.
Yeah.
There was a place that everyone that we talked to said we had to go to. Only one way in and one way out, and it's very much a tourist destination. And we were glad we took the time and actually went to Milford Sound. Milford Sound is difficult to get to. You have to traverse a mountain pass that goes through a tunnel, and we had tickets to do a little cruise in the fjord for one of the early morning ones, so we had to get up super early and drive. It was raining when we got there, but it was stunning. You were surrounded by thousands of waterfalls, even just going up. Once you got in there and back down to sea level, as you were going out, there was just waterfalls everywhere. And some of them they weren't even going down the side of the mountain. They came out of the mountain, and you could take your boat right up into them. And it was an amazing view of one of nature's spectacular places.
It reminded me a lot of Alaska because of fjord land, and it was glacially carved, and a lot of the wildlife and whatnot. And it was temperate. I don't know if it was a rainforest. But
I'm not sure if it was a rainforest.
But it was definitely temperate. It was chilly, but temperate. And so it was great. The cruise was definitely the best way to go, just because most of the stuff that you're seeing is out in the water. And so we really enjoyed it, and we enjoyed seeing everything, even though we got soaked to the bone. And it was a good time.
Yeah.
And a full day there, in and out. We camped right outside of Milford Sound, and then went in the morning, spent most of the day there, and drove out for the day. awesome and epic, and it is wonderful, and we loved it. But there's one thing that they don't tell you about.
On the West Coast.
On the West Coast of the South Island. And granted, we were there, and it was exceptionally hotter than normal.
Warmer than the usual.
Normal. Usually you are cold in the South Island, and we definitely weren't.
Yeah.
But sandflies.
It's like mosquitoes that will get you over and over again. Fortunately, it doesn't itch quite as bad as a mosquito,
No,
but
it
there's
does.
so many
It
of them.
does.
It depends on your
And
type.
they just ate us up. So.
Mostly our legs, because that's what was exposed all the time.
Yeah.
But they bite you.
And I didn't read anything about sandflies anywhere in any of my reading. So we are here to tell you there is one downside of New Zealand, and that is sandflies.
Yeah, and there was one magical spot that we stayed at. Twice, in fact.
Twice.
We stayed two nights in a row, 2 different spots, but we left for the day. Lake Pukaki. It was the Lake Pukaki Reserve camping area, just off of the highway.
Really close to Mount Cook.
Really close. You could see Mount Cook from where you were,
Yes.
from most places on the
Stunning.
campground, and that's where we actually went to hike the very next day. But the water was clear. We could go down. It was surrounded by large boulders. The kids loved to play. Theo, being the little eye hawk that he was, found a diving mask, not diving, the snorkeling mask, and it mostly works. But it was absolutely stunning. The views of Mount Cook and the sunsets were majestic.
Yeah, it was gorgeous. So we stayed there the night, and then we went into Mount Cook, and we picked up a couple of hitchhikers. One
I was like, "You want to do that?" She's like, "I don't know. Are we gonna do that?" I'm like, "I'm stopping. We're stopping here. We're picking these folks up."
And where were they from? Europe? Somewhere?
Germany and
Poland?
That sounds about right.
Yeah, so it's 2 young guys from Germany and Poland, and just picked them up. They had a Mount Cook sign, so we had made room for them, and we both all went up to the site where you can camp at the base, and then there's several hiking trails. So we did the Hooker Valley trail, and it said 3 hours round trip.
And we rocked it at 4.5 hours, thereabouts.
It took us a lot longer getting to there than coming back. But getting to the place where there was a lake, a glacier lake, and it was beautiful. And then everyone was so hot that we jumped in, and there was icebergs there, and it was cold.
So kudos to Joseph from Poland and Moritz from Germany. Gentlemen, it was nice to meet you, nice to make your acquaintance, and thanks for swimming in the glacially fed, ice-cold lake. Delightful.